Today's politicians actually have that. Consultants submit their speeches to groups of about 30 people who are then asked to turn a dial to register which comments they like and how much and what they don't like. Frank Luntz arranged for this focus group for these Scott Walker comments on Megyn Kelly's show. You did this for us. And how does this work?
Well, it's pretty simple. And by the way, there's a reason why I'm dressed without a jacket and tie. Because there's the potential that this could be hostile, so I wanted to be as least threatening as possible.
Hostile because I may ask you questions like, how can you be such a jerk helping people be phony?
Why are you wearing a blue shirt and not a white shirt? Because someone told you that you look better on television. That's what this is about. It's about understanding how to instill credibility, whether you're a senator or a CEO, to ways that the public understands and appreciates. And that's my responsibility, to help explain a process, a principle, a product, whatever it takes. My job is so that the average consumer or the average voter understands accurately and effectively what that message is.
How do you do it? You don't stop people in the street and say, hey, come on in and be in a focus group.
No, you have to. Typically, on a Fox group, we'll get about 600 or 700 applications. And in the end, about 40 people get invited, and usually about 30 people show up. And they have to have the right demographics. I have to make sure I've got the right men and women, the right mix of age, the right mix of income, education.
Republicans, Democrats.
Exactly. Because if it's not properly represented, then you don't get an accurate sample.
Okay, let's take a few specific examples and watch how the Luntz scores change as the candidates speak. Here's Scott Walker again.
We've had a Ivy League trained lawyer in the White House for the last 6 years who was pretty good at reading off a teleprompter but done a pretty lousy job leading this country. I'd rather have a fighter who's actually proven he could take on the big government special interest and win.
I mean, that's incredible. The red line represents Republicans, the green line represents Democrats, and Walker's point about the Ivy League president who has failed to lead us, and that we need something far better than just someone with an education resume, that works with the Republicans and Democrats.
It popped right up. People don't like Ivy Leaguers.
No, it's that people think that if
you're an Ivy Leaguer.
I'm the University of Pennsylvania. I'm a Quaker and damn proud of it. What Walker is doing there is he's articulating the difference between himself, Barack Obama, and he's doing it in a very effective fashion. He created that language. All that I do when these candidates speak is I then go after they've spoken and see what words work and what words don't.
Let's watch a clip from someone I like, Rand Paul at CPAC.
It is not the desire for wealth that drives us. What drives us is the desire for freedom. The history of man is the history of men and women striving to restrain the power of government and expand the realm of freedom.
Brilliant. It's brilliant because he focuses on the principle of freedom, which everybody can agree with. I see a message that is incredibly powerful from Rand Paul that has the ability to unite Republicans and Democrats.
What's
the message of freedom? You decide.
But he says striving to restrain the power. He says striving to restrain the power of government. It shoots up.
Yep.
He says, will you fight for freedom? And it comes down. So I don't know how you can conclude that freedom works.
Because when he says, will you fight for freedom, that may be too strong. It comes down only among Democrats, not among Republicans. And maybe they'd say, would you advocate for freedom? Would you support freedom? Would you stand up for freedom? Democrats may be saying
one word can make that big a difference.
One word makes all the difference in the world. A single word. If you call it an estate tax, it's for rich people. If you call it a death tax, it's for everyone. If you talk about drilling for oil, it's dirty. If you talk about exploring for energy, it's clean. If you talk about a voucher, it's a piece of paper. If you call it an opportunity scholarship, it's getting an education. If you call it carbonated, it's chemicals. If you call it sparkling, it's how it makes you feel.
See, you're in the deceit business.
Have I said anything wrong to you? It is about clarifying communication. It's about getting the words and phrases that explain and educate to the American people.
Let's look at a test of Marco Rubio's speech when he announced his candidacy.
If we remember that the family, not the government, is the most important institution in our society. If we remember that all human life deserves protection of our laws. And if we remember that all parents deserve to choose the education that's right for their children, then we will have a strong people and a strong nation.
To me, these scores look flat.
But they're up at the 80s. Nobody gets in the 80s. That's the top 3%.
He's really a good speaker.
He's an amazing speaker, and he's using and that's the construct of if, then, if, then. If we do this, then we get this. And he's doing it in a positive way. Marco Rubio is the best communicator among all Republicans. I'm looking at that power word, that power phrase that causes people to pay attention. And there are about a dozen of them. When a candidate or a CEO says the word imagine, we do. We think of the communication in our heads. When they talk about a fact-based approach, we assume that they're telling us the truth. Whereas if they say evidence-based, we're not sure because there's evidence for the prosecution, evidence for the defense. That's what messaging is about. How to say things in a way that people hear them. A simple philosophy. It's not what you say, it's what people hear.
Thank you, Frank Luntz.
Thank you.